let's see. Really, here we are, finally. Okay. Ha 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 ha. So let me bring you up to speed to why I'm 27 minutes late. I've been talking to myself for the last 27 minutes. I thought it was live. I didn't actually bother to check, and it turns out I was wrong. So here we are, 27 minutes later. I'm all out of breath because I've been going really hard at it. But now I figured out that there we are. So I am going to take a swig of water and I'm going to say hello, hello, hello. You must be hearing me swallow that. That's crazy. Sorry about that. But the nice part is I've rehearsed everything to this point. Things are really well. What are we talking about? We are talking about powered speakers. We're talking about not having that clip, that limit light that we see on the back of our speakers going off prematurely. We don't want to get too excited and let it go all at once. We're going to talk about how that works with our mixer and how that works with controllers. We're going to try it out and show you practical on these speakers here. Now, I chose these speakers specifically because I wanted to talk a bit about them, talk a bit about the mixer, but more importantly, talk about what the speaker can do because it has the right features in the back of it for me to demonstrate to you what I want to do today. Now, we're talking about gain levels. We're talking about getting maximum dB out of your speaker. We're talking about levels. This can be from your controller, from your microphone, from anything you can think of that you want to plug in here. Your laptop, if you're using USB and you're just going to play music that way. We're going to show you how that all works today. Now, the neat part is it's not complicated. Once you get a handle of it, you're good. And then when we're finished on the how to do it right and how the best way to get it, because a lot of people are doing it right, maybe they're missing something, or maybe they're doing everything I just say in this video, but they still have the problem. Well, we're going to talk about some of the solutions just afterwards. I want to say thank you to everybody who's watching this live right now. I do want to say I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to watch this now. It's going to be posted, of course, later. And for everybody else who's not watching it live, by all means, thank you to you too. I mean, it's a big deal. I appreciate you taking the time to watch it. There's going to be chapters on the bottom when it's all said and done. Also, right now there's a link to Guitar Center down below. It's an exclusive 10% off sale that they're having on the products that they have in-house, the products that they've made special deals with to have at Guitar Center. So it's all their exclusive kind of gear and that sort of thing. You can use either, if you're watching on your TV, your phone, and hit that QR code, by the way. So if you're watching it on your TV and you see that QR code pop up now and then from different YouTubers, that's what you do with it. You hold up your phone with your camera on and it'll ask you if you want to go there and you say, yes, I do. Thank you very much. That's how you get there and you get to see what's going on. If you're on your phone or your computer, look down in the description. There's going to be a link there that gets you to Guitar Center, and that's going to be the exclusive 10% off. It's a coupon code that you use. It's in the actual link. It's everywhere. I put it everywhere for you. Use that on when you're cashing out. I think it's exclusive 10. So last day, by the way, 27th. So if you're watching this after the 27th of August, 2025, hello, that's today. By midnight tonight, that's over. We're going to be looking for something else to promote when it comes to a sale with Guitar Center. So if you want to save 10% on especially Harbingers and stuff like that I talk about a lot, it's a good time to take advantage of that deal. Back to the mixers and speakers and the gain problem. Okay, so quite a common problem when I have my showroom that people wanted to make sure they got the maximum amount of volume. Now, of course, if you're always running your speakers in the limits and you do everything I'm saying and you're still limiting and you're still not getting as much volume as you want, you needed bigger speakers to start off with. Bigger speakers or subwoofers to fix the problems you have. Now, it's not a limitation. It's not like, oh, I bought these speakers and they're good, but you know, I can't do anything dramatic, big with it. I can't do a gymnasium with it. I can't do big outdoor events with it. No, you can't. Because these are really good speakers for people who are looking to entertain people between 25 and 75 people at, let's say, a wedding, indoor or outdoor venue, big backyard parties, special events, corporates, that sort of stuff. These are awesome speakers for that. But if I'm going to do something with 150 people at a wedding, where I'm going to be putting 50 to 100 people on it, I'm going to need something bigger. I'm going to need the next series up. That's why there's bigger speakers, not good, better, or best. just bigger speakers, speakers that can handle more, twice as much as the one before and twice as much as the one before that. And then eventually they change into large arrays and then they're full on line arrays. I mean, that's how the world works. That's how everything works. Same thing as cars and trucks, right? So everything I talk about in this video is scalable. So this is really just how to dial it in, get it going. And then we'll talk about some of the problems. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below and I'll try and hit you up as you're going along. But let's get started, because why talk when we can actually talk about it? So we're going to start here with the mixer. I'm going to swing over and change over the camera view. And here we go. Oh, I tell you, engine goes. You've been waiting for this. You've been waiting for this video. Thanks for the comment. I appreciate that very, very much. So, and yeah, so let's spin over and see what we talk about here. So here we go. All right. So we got our camera. We're all set up a little bit closer. I want to show you the mixer first, and then we're going to talk about the speaker. So on the mixer, I chose the Alto. For no other reason than I think it was really a nice sounding mixer. I was using it in another video. I've had this for a while, but I used it. It's so clean that you can literally run the gains full blast. You don't even hear any background noise. It doesn't build up like a lot of other mixers do in this price range, because this is only under $200. So that's very important, because a lot of people are looking for the right mixer to fill in the gap, but they don't want to spend, you know, $1,000 or $1,600 on a mixer. They just need something under a couple of $100 to do a really good job. But when it does that job, it has to sound good doing it. And this one, well, pulls that off. Here we go. What are we talking about? We're talking about the fact that we're running our actual USB, because I'm running music on the laptop that's just behind it here. And we're going to turn up the music just a bit and see what that sounds like. So this way you have an idea of what's going on, okay? Now, this is the only input I'm using here. Now, this dial goes from all the way at the bottom here, which is Unity 0, all the way up to +10. So you got to pay attention to your mixer and see what these things actually say. This isn't 100%, this is +10. So because the volume's set on a sliding scale, which basically means it's very detailed and accurate here, and then it crushes the volume up, makes it bigger as we get closer up. So from here to here, we may have only added 25% gain to the overall system. From here to here, we've added another 75. We're at Unity at this point. So big difference between just going from here to here. So from this case, 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock. If I go all the way down here to 5 o'clock, I've added 10%. So I've almost doubled the output of this mixer's capabilities. So I'm going to leave it there, and I'm going to be pretty happy with that. Now I have my volume controls here, okay? Now this volume here is the same setup. It's down here, it has +10. If I turn this up, it's going to do the same thing. We'll see that. And we're seeing our dBs. Now you're going to see on most mixers the same thing happen. 30, 24, 18, 12, 6. These are all minuses. Then we hit 0. Then we're at +6, and now we're definitely clipping. So we definitely don't want to see stuff like that. So we'll see. We'll bring it up to here. We're at -18. We're trying to get up here, and the volume definitely increases exponentially as we move up the ladder. We're just waiting for the song to reset here, and we'll be all set again. So how we're going to run today, we're going to be all the way over here as soon as it starts back up again. So that's all we're waiting for. Timing is everything. Here we are, and if you notice, we're flashing at -6, so we're not reaching the top, because this song, it's a country song, very high quality from Artlist, but it's not going to blow our socks off. We're going to need to add a little bit more, because it's very possible that my laptop's not set up 100%. So we're going to bring this volume up here. So there we are. We're running it at 0. So we've reached our goal. So we're going to leave this guy alone for a second. Now, if I had other equipment, plugged into here, like microphones, like anything, I would have started with the lowest possible gained input product that I have. So if I have somebody who sings on with a very soft voice, I would set them up first. If I'm setting up somebody with keyboard and the keyboard is very sensitive and they're playing on a very soft, I'd take them second. Work my way up to the most dominant thing. So if I got a backtrack that's playing off my laptop, that'll be the last thing I set up. So I've got a drummer plugged in here, like drum set, he'll be like one of the last things I set up because I want to make sure that I hear everything at the level I want to hear it at. So in this case, I'm only hooking up one thing to it, and that's my laptop. So we're going to be okay the way we are. So now let's take a look at the back of the speaker. And yes, sorry I have to swing you around like that, because we really want to see what's going on here. So here we are looking at the back of the speaker. Okay, right away what we're going to see is that we have our clip light flickering right here. And that's maybe because we have our gain just a little bit high. We are flickering on 0. So I'm going to go back to that. Remember where I adjusted it just a wee bit there before? I'm going to back off just a little bit. Like I'm talking a fraction of a hair. So it went from, let's say, 3 o'clock and we tweaked it up to 3:15. So I dialed it back down to 3 o'clock again. That's how small of a difference I've done there. And that light's gone completely now. I'm still pushing unity on my mixer, but that light is now gone. That small little change, and I'll show it to you again, that's all it took, and now that light is gone. So I'm going to pull this back so we can see everything at the same time. Just like that. So now we have our meters, everything that we wanted to see. Everything's in place. Tighten this back up here. All right. So here we go. So I went from no light right here. If I turn this guy up, just tweaked it up a little bit, just like that. Look how strong that light is. That light is just pounding away. All I did was turn it up a little bit. If I just turn it back just a little bit, magic. That's all it takes. I'm still, if you look at my levels, I'm still running at the same levels. I'm pushing that light just to the edge, and that's all I'm doing. This is my maximum amount of volume. It's that simple. And why did I use the speaker, by the way? Because it has a master volume output. If I did not have a master volume output on the back of the speaker, I would not be able to talk to you while I have the volume turned up that loud on this speaker. That's really what it comes down to. All the volume's now buried in here, and that's not going to change the output of the speaker. This speaker here can now run easily up to 75% with that limit light not going off. And that's pretty much the reason why you can go past 75 all the way up to here. Same thing like the mixer. 75% is basically unity output on this. So it's now matching whatever's going on up here. If I go past that here, I'm compensating. I'm adding more than I should be, because sometimes I might plug things straight into here. Maybe it's a microphone, and that microphone, I'm not getting a lot of energy into it. I'm not pushing it very hard. It's a soft-spoken person. It's used for a house of worship. You're not getting everything into it. Maybe somebody plugged in an acoustic guitar, so you got some soft play going on. Those are reasons why you'd go past that level there. Now, all that said, there are times when you can't push it any more than that. And that's going to be because of these guys right here. These guys are going to adjust for the room you're in, not the music you're playing. So again, if you're outdoors and people are up close and you need to compensate because there's no reflection, you want a little bit more bass in your speaker, you can do that. But normally you would handle this only if it wasn't available here, which it's not. There's no main output adjustments here. So we're going to do that all here. And this is, again, just adjusting the room size. But that's going to alter. If I go here and I decide to turn this, we'll make an exact number out of it. If I go to 3 o'clock here, that is basically adding a lot of gain to my input. So that means instead of having the ability to go to 3 o'clock here, I may only be able to go to not 12 up on top, but maybe 130 on the dial. So that's very, very important. So we'll turn this down here for a second. And that means this dial can only make it to about here because I've added a lot of gain here. And that applies to the highs as much as the lows because this is bi-amped. So everything reflected in one is separate from the other. So if I have this at 12 o'clock and I put this here, same problem is going to fall into place. I don't need to stress out the tweeters. And it's very possible that I trigger the clip light or damage the tweeters long term. Like, I've done this now for 8 hours straight. I'm going to cause some damage, like squealing your tires. So that's very important to pay attention to on that. That's how you really stop the problem with those things. Now, you're doing all of this and you're saying, Robin, I've done all of that, and I'm still getting my limit light going off real fast, real quick. Now, 2 things can cause that problem. If you're accidentally, now this is the most common, I checked, but I forgot to check twice. And that's just like my streaming today. I didn't check twice. If your button's pushed in here, this is a mic line input. That mic input is expecting a much more sensitive line coming into it. So I'm going to touch this. I'm going to turn this volume down because it's going to be real quick. Remember, I had this at full gain before. So again, I'll show you. Full gain. No limit light coming on. Push that on. Watch this. Watch how fast that light's going to go on. I'm going to turn this in and we'll talk about where it hit. Well, we're in between a start song. So we got to wait for the song to start up again. No meters here. Look at that. Look at that. That light is just blinking like crazy. And I'm only at, there's 3, sorry, there's 9, that's 10. 10 o'clock. That light's on. That much energy. Turn that off. I'm going to go all the way to here. That's how much difference there is. This is adding about 26 dB to what's going on here. So that's going to change this dramatically. Because remember, when we were looking at our mixer started at around minus 30 to 36 dB, and then it worked its way up to 0. So if we were to have this button pressed in for Mike, this bottom line here, as soon as we turn it on, we're going to be right at plus 26 dB so fast, or sorry, minus 26 dB so fast, that it'll take us no time to get there. Definitely not going to sound very good, so we're going to keep that off. Now, another nice thing that you get with this guy, but you know, it requires some adjustment, is to look at things that have RCAs on them. RCAs can be your trigger to the wrong amount of power going into the speaker. Now, hopefully the speaker is built properly, which means there's got to be a little bit of circuitry between the two. So I'm going to pull this off for a second so we can have a better look at what's going on. Now, this is probably going to get footnoted as a very important part. It's the difference between dBu and dBV. So that's a plus 4 and a minus 10 option. All lines are running at 1. The RCAs are running at the other. So what does that mean? It means that you get a plus 4 here and you get a minus 10 there. If for any reason you have equipment that has a switch, they both should be in the same position, so this way you're telling it to act the same. What it means is that this is hotter than this. So if you accidentally have your equipment set up for consumer products, things that are at a fixed level, they're always going to feel hotter, louder as a preamp, and trigger your limit light much faster, even if you're not reaching the maximum volume of your equipment, because it's giving a false amount of energy at the front end with more like a voltage difference than an actual amperage difference. Amperage is what's pushing everything back and forth. Voltage is how much it takes to get everything going back and forth. So I hope that helps a little bit. But so remember, voltage is the amount of energy being pushed. The amperage is how fast it's being pushed. So that's the difference. You get more voltage, less amperage. You get more amperage, less voltage on this side here. It allows you to carry your system. I could be wrong in that, by the way. I might have gotten that backwards, but it's how you get to carry your signals much further down the cable, is why these guys can be so long. But that's where we're at there, and that's one of those cautionary tales that you have. We're going to plug this guy back in here, and we're going to pull back and get a bigger picture. So that's the right way to do it. So again, one last time, we're going to cover all of this. We want our levels to be as close to unity as possible. We want to pay attention that we're not dropping the hammer on our volume control options, okay? We want to make sure that we bring our gains up so we're at a level that's not going to exceed. And we're going to pay attention to the worst possible music that we have, set that up first, so this way everything else is going to sound just as good as that. Because if you set up your music for your most favorite song that you like to practice with, but now you have a new song that has a lot more bass and a lot more treble, a lot more compression, that's going to be the new benchmark for how much volume you're going to need to handle when it comes to your speakers. And voila. So let's talk about how you can run into trouble with stuff. And here we go. Yes, there we are. Okay, I'm back. So running into stuff, there's a video out there. If you ever watch DJ Aaron has a last name and he has a channel, and I should know that, but I'm going to get his channel up here. But I subscribe to him. If you go to my YouTube channel, my actual home channel, and scroll down, you're going to see everybody I follow and post on my website. He's one of the people I post. I post a lot of DJs that I think are worth watching, listening to, have something important to say, or do a really good job at entertaining you. Those are all very important things. He had a video where he got some Electro Voices, the Evolve 70s 90s to compare. He did that at a music store. Smart idea to do. And then he got himself some 70s. There's an arrangement there, but that's a different video for a different day. And but he was having problems. His controller and his speakers were limiting out real fast. His limit lights, he was stressing the speakers out, clipping them real quick. So much so, he's in a lucky place because he lives in a place where he was able to talk to and be part of something with Electro Voice where they got to look at his speakers. Now, his video is not 3 hours long, but he did say he was there for 3 hours. And at the end of that, they determined, they had determined that it was a compression issue, it was a quality of compression in his audio files. Also, you know, they were concerned to make sure that, you know, you're using the maximum quality that you can in your XLR cables because any signal problems there, or if you're not getting a good transfer of signal, strong signal, a weak signal will cause your limit lights to come on pretty quick, and that's fact. So you could have, unknowingly, not a very good quality set of XLR cables, and that's happened. I've seen that. At the same time, they also said, like I said in the first part, that it was a compression. Now, they're referring to where the audio files were coming from, so I'm going to assume it was compression in file transfer. So meaning how much compression was applied to the file in the MP3 or whatever format the audio file was in, waveform, and because of that, it was a little muddier than it should be. Now, compression can also be done in the actual studio, at the beginning, the front end of it, in the creation of the file. Now, a lot of DJs are playing remixed or basically, you know, made better audio files for dancing. I'm trying to find a good word to describe that, but you know what I mean. If you listen to some good dance tracks, you're going to hear that where the music just sounds better. It's got better kick to it, it's got better clarity, it's got better response in the highs, and if you pull back on the highs, it's got a strong mid that really pulls through really well. So a DJ can really play around with it, or a DJ has, and that's the file you're using. Those things can play havoc on a great set of speakers when it comes to setting off the limit light, because most of the time there's so much compression done in the recording of the actual file. So the remastering of the file, they add a lot of compression. They move the bottom line. So there's basically a peak level in the recording process. They take that peak level and move it up some so they can add even more to the roof of that song. So they can make a difference between the bottom end and the high end and increase the difference in output range when it comes to bass to high range. Makes the song sound better. If you got tighter low end, you got clearer mids and upper end, it's just going to sound better because it's going to be much more noticeable in a large stage setup or in your car. So that can cause your limit lights to trigger faster. But I think in his case, he found out when he went back home and he got himself a different mixer. He had an opportunity to plug in a different mixer into his speakers, because later on in the video at the end, he does take note and say that it sounded better, everything lined up better, simply because he changed the mixer. And he seems like a pretty smart guy, so I'm going to assume it's not just a preset setup that he had screwed up and didn't realize he had in the old mixer and wasn't there in the new one, and nobody at Electro Voice noticed it. I'm going to assume it's just how happy that mixer was to be with those speakers. Excuse me. And you're thinking, that's BS. That's a whole bunch of horse manure. There's no way one mixer is going to do different than another when it comes to setup. I've had dozens and dozens of mixers, hundreds of speakers plugged in. And I've seen it where mixers and speakers don't like each other. It could be a grounding issue, it could be background, it could be circuitry, it could be all kinds of things. I do not understand. I am not an engineer in that sense, but I do know from testing and trying things out that sometimes you just have to swap out the mixer and things work out a whole heck of a lot better. So there you go. If you want to know how good these speakers sound, it's a good reason why I have them here. These used to be speakers I had on the back wall, and these speakers are great. The volume levels are going to be really strong into that mid-volume group when it comes for a group of 25 to 75. I'm not upset at what kind of music I play through them. It could be country, could be dance, could be rock, it could just be background music, it could be house of worship, could be for talking and for church. All of these things at the same time, one set of speakers. Your limitation is going to be in the number of people you're going for, because of course they want to stay within a reasonable price. They don't want to dial up the price yet on their speaker line to a point where these speakers now become $500, $600, $700, $800. They know they don't have that customer base just yet. But if you're looking for a great set of quality speakers that have, amazingly enough, very little hiss, it's like they actually listened to these speakers and said, we want these to be better than everything else we make. And in this case, with the D-Class power amp and the way they got the electronics set up for the highs and for the lows, amazingly enough, very low hiss, better hiss than I've heard on other speakers of comparable price. So I'm talking about, you know, the Harbinger and the Alto, and I think there's a Mackie that I, you know, back in the day, but I'm not sure. So we're going to use those two for sure as reference points, because compared to those, and we're talking the TX series and the, I have them here. I'm not upset. Like I said, these are, oh, the V11s from Harbinger. Good speakers at regular room or entertainment level. So if you go to a bar or a restaurant, all three of those speakers aren't going to make a difference when it comes to how much background noise you're going to hear out of them. But if you're going to have them in a much more quieter place, like in a house of worship where everybody just hushes right up, the Geminis are going to do better. Not just any Geminis, these ones in particular, these are the GD series. This is the GD2 series speakers. These are the ones you're going to want to get if you want to get their best quality speaker they make. They make a lot of party speakers, but these aren't them. This is not your, I want it for my backyard party. You can use for all of that, but this is somebody who wants to actually use this pair of speakers for some work. This is like getting a work truck instead of just like a crossover SUV. That's what's going on here. So these are the GDs. Now again, like I said at the beginning of the video, I really like the mixer because the mixer was incredibly quiet. I did a video recently for this Mackie microphone. Now you would think because I have Mackie mixers all over the place, that would have plugged this Mackie microphone into that. I did not. And because it needs a stupid amount of gain to get going, because it's a podcasting microphone for spoken word, that sort of thing. And this mixer goes all the way up to plus 60 dB, which is a bonkers amount of gain to put in here. And again, that with my Audio-Technica headphones was whisper quiet. I couldn't hear any background noise, which is normally a normal problem. You crank up your gain levels that high, you're going to hear background noise, and that's something you don't want in a recording, and it wasn't there on that mixer. So that's why I picked this particular mixer to make this particular video. And there you go. I hope that helped you out a bit today when we're talking about not blowing up your speakers and getting the most gains out of them, and talking about Aaron. I'll put Aaron's video down below for you. And again, this could have been for JBLs, Electro Voices, Mackies, you name it, okay? Take the top 10 speakers, take what we talked about today, apply that to those. The rules always apply. Those are the rules. With a bit of variance in the middle, gray area to push around and make things just right, but that's pretty much the rule of thumb. Well, I hope you liked this video today. I want to say thank you very much. It's a live show, so we're going to cut it here because that's what I wanted to do on this particular show. We're going to hopefully get a lot more live shows. Occasionally life gets in the way and I can't do them when I want to do them. Occasionally I don't know what I'm doing, and like today I was half an hour late. By the way, I was on time. It took me half an hour to realize I wasn't actually live streaming. Yes. So I want to say thanks for watching. Remember, the links are down below if you missed that at the beginning of the video. Today is the 27th. It's the last day for the 10% off sale that I have linked down below, or you can go straight to Guitar Center and you'll see it there. The promo code is exclusive10. You can double check, it's on the link. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye for now.